Farmhouses, cattle pens and heavy machinery nestle among picturesque rolling fields. This is a typical Irish dairy farm. But just next door is a different kind of farm. All because of this mysterious metal box right here. Farms produce a lot of waste, and that box right here can turn that waste into digital gold. Yes, you heard it right. Let's find out more. The Irish government is targeting a 25% decrease in greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. That's a pretty tall order, but one of the best ways to lower emissions is to invest in renewable energy sources. However, Ireland has a unique problem. Over 35% of its greenhouse gas emissions come from the agricultural sector, and a majority of those emissions come from, you guessed it, cows. This is a serious problem because in Ireland, there are about 1 million more cows than there are people.
There are 7.3 million cows in Ireland, and unfortunately, they create a lot of waste.
Cows, like the Kerry cattle, are one of the oldest breeds in Europe. Dairy farming is a pivotal part of Ireland's culture, history and economy, but the future of Irish farming is not so bright.
Many farmers say that meeting targets could drive them into bankruptcy, with the head of the Irish Creamery Milk Suppliers Association, Pat McCormack, warning that farmers could have to cull their livestock.
If Ireland was to bring their greenhouse gas emissions to target right now, they would have to cull 1.3 million cattle. Luckily, a group of young Irish entrepreneurs think they might have found a rather unusual solution: Bitcoin mining. Nestled on the cusp of Armagh County lies a typical Irish farm, tended to by a man who is perhaps ahead of his time. Tom Campbell is the first Irish farmer to mine Bitcoin.
The amount of electricity Bitcoin requires is a contentious subject, but it's coming purely from renewable sources here. It does sound like an outlandish thing to turn grass into Bitcoin, but there is a way to do it.
Farmers are increasingly pressured by the Irish government to reduce emissions to reach the country's greenhouse gas emission goals. In some cases, these goals have driven farms to bankruptcy. For farmer Tom Campbell, Bitcoin mining was an interesting option to pay off investments he was obliged to make.
The Bitcoin option here for consuming electricity on site rather than just exporting it, it was an exercise in trying to beat the grid price that you're being paid for export, and it gives us another market for electricity, and it's just a form of wealth storage, I suppose, on the farm.
He produces renewable energy on his farm using a special method called anaerobic digestion. Anaerobic digestion is a method where microorganisms break down biodegradable material to a point where it creates methane gas, which can be used to produce electricity. It's actually quite similar to a cow digesting grass and farting it out into the world, but instead that fart is captured and used to create electricity in a purely renewable way. On average, Tom's farm produces an electrical output of 500 kilowatts, but can scale up to 700 kilowatts. That's the equivalent of powering nearly 12,000 households.